Hey, kid, I want you to spill your guts. Tell us everything. Everything.
Number 10, Cory lost a role to Cory. Corey Feldman was among the 80s most prominent child actors, landing roles as Pete in Gremlins, Teddy in Stand By Me, and Elliot's best friend in E.T., the latter of which was scrapped from the script. Feldman still got to work with Mr. Spielberg on projects like Goonies, in which he played the wisecracking Clark Mouth Devereaux.
No, I want the Villa Scallopini. I want a fettuccine Alfredo. A bottle of fettuccine in 1981.
Feldman was tailor-made to play the character, but the role almost went to another Cory. During the auditions, Feldman first crossed paths with Corey Haim, who was also going for Mouth.
And one interesting little anecdote is that sitting in the waiting room at Amblin, the day that I had to go in and read for Stephen and Kathleen Kennedy and all of them, was Corey Haim. And that was the first time we met.
While Haim didn't get the role, he later co-starred with Feldman in films like The Lost Boys. Thus, the two Corys were born, although their friendship ended in tragedy when Haim died of pneumonia in 2010. Number 9, Josh Brolin's idea of method acting.
Where is the Soul Stone?
Before he was Thanos and Cable, Josh Brolin made his feature film debut as Big Brother Brand in The Goonies. Being his first role, Brolin was just starting to become more acquainted with acting techniques like Stanislavski's system.
I know how you feel, Wim. I'm sure gonna miss this place too.
The teenage Brolin had a rather bizarre grasp on method acting, however. In an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, Brolin revealed that he approached producer Steven Spielberg, saying, "I wanted to climb the walls of the tunnels, and that it represented my mother's womb for some odd reason." Spielberg didn't indulge Brolin's desire to go method, suggesting, "Why don't you just act?" In retrospect, Brolin seems to identify with where the more experienced Spielberg was coming from, calling this his craziest on-set story.
Long enough, Mikey. Long enough.
Number 8, a reference to a deleted scene shatters the continuity. Watching Goonies for the first time, one particular line might have caught you off guard. Talking to the press, Data says that the octopus was the scariest part of their adventure.
The octopus was very scary. Yeah, it was very dangerous. The scariest thing was walking the planet.
While the line flies by fairly quickly, it leaves more than a few viewers asking, what octopus? In a deleted scene, an octopus attacks Mouth and Steph by the pirate ship. Fortunately, Data fends it off with the immortal tune, 8 Arms to Hold You. This silly-looking special effect was removed, although it did get a shout-out in the film's novelization and inspire video game levels.
Let's not tell anyone that we used music to defeat an octopus.
It'd even be included in TV airings. Within the original film's context though, Data's line leaves a gaping plot hole. Did anyone think to cut the line or redub it? Number 7, struggles of playing the fat kid. The Fat Kid was an 80s movie staple, Chunk being the gold standard.
First you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on!
This trope was mostly phased out as people grew more cautious of body shaming, plus it can be pretty rough for the actor. Jeff Cohen, who auditioned for Mouth before being deemed more of a chunk, bit off more than he cared to chew. Remember when Chunk drowns his feelings in whipped cream?
Oh God, am I impressed?
Cohen claims he got sick, reflecting, say you do 50 takes. That's 50 hits of whipped cream.
The hazards of being a fat kid in show business are going to keep force-feeding you food till you break out.
Upon hitting puberty, Cohen dropped the weight. Since Hollywood saw him as the fat one though, Cohen's acting career ended when he went from chunk to hunk. He's doing quite well as a founding partner at a law firm, however. Number 6, John Matusacs' time in the makeup chair. Even if you knew John Matusak from his football days, he was completely unrecognisable as the deformed sloth.
Rocky Road?
Matusak sadly died of an accidental overdose 4 years after the film's release, but his co-stars remember him as a good sport and gentle giant.
Scary as hell. Even scary to me. but put his arm around you. And it was like, wow, wow, I'm flying.
Matusacs' commitment is only more commendable when you consider what the part entailed. He had to go in super early for makeup, which took 5 hours to apply. In addition to the uncomfortable makeup, Matusak had to synchronize his real eye with Sloth's remote-controlled prosthetic eye to maintain even blinking. He could only see through one eye, and eating was also a struggle. In one instance, the kids splashed Matusak, meaning the makeup needed to be redone.
And he had it the worst because he'd have to go to work at like 4 in the morning and get made up.
Yet, he reportedly never complained. Number 5. One-Eyed Willys' skull was allegedly real. In one of the film's most memorable moments, Mikey finally finds the skeleton of One-Eyed Willy, who lives up to his name.
That's Willys. Save that for Willy.
Adding to the scene's haunting nature, Sean Astin possibly wasn't acting against a prop. In 2002, a website cited a cast list claiming that the skull of One-Eyed Willy was real, although the rest of his body was fake. The skull supposedly belonged to a man named Raoul Wu, who died of lead poisoning.
One-Eyed Willy.
It's hard to say if there's any truth to these accusations, or if it's just an online rumour. Considering that real skeletons were used in Poltergeist though, it wouldn't be that far-fetched for another Spielberg production to strive for authenticity. In any case, it's a legend worthy of Willy. Number 4. Chunk had chickenpox. The Truffle Shuffle is perhaps Chunk's most rewatched moment. When filming this classic scene, Jeff Cohen requested that the set be cleared, as he was embarrassed about shaking his gut in front of everyone.
Now, when I did this, I was very embarrassed because, I was a little fat kid shaking my gut, so I didn't want anybody around, so they cleared the set, which was nice.
Director Richard Donner granted Cohen's request. Had there been more people on set though, perhaps someone would have caught the red dots on Cohen's stomach. Cohen revealed years later that he got chickenpox before shooting commenced.
I got Goonies, and before I came to the set, I got chickenpox. But I was so afraid that you guys would, fire me. I didn't tell anybody.
Fearing that they would recast the part, Cohen kept his condition a secret and showed up for the gig as if nothing were wrong. While Cohen's illness isn't noticeable for most of the film, you can spot traces of his chickenpox when he lifts his shirt. We hope nobody contracted the disease on set. Number 3. What the bats were made of. The Goonies come across many threats, including falling boulders, collapsing floors, and, of course, bats. Why'd it have to be bats? Growing up, you might have shared in the Goonies' terror when Brand pulls back the rock and the legion of winged menaces come swarming out. However, the bats become infinitely less scary when you consider what they're constructed of. Turns out, they were mostly bow ties and black papier-mâché wads that they shot out of an air cannon.
Not real bats, I'm guessing.
Bow ties.
Yeah, they were like paper-mâché or something.
Paper bats.
Paper. They were birds. That they put in these tubes.
No, but do you remember we also had the mechanical one?
We also had birds.
With this knowledge, the scene isn't quite as eerie as we remember. Still, it's a better effect than the octopus. Number 2. Why Chunk's tears were real. Although Spielberg instructed Brolin not to go Stanislavski, Jeff Cohen actually did a little method acting. When the Fratellis interrogate Chunk, he cries out a long confession.
And then I made a noise like this.
While the scene is darkly funny, Cohen's sadness was genuine. To summon authentic tears, Cohen thought about his mother dying.
Honestly, we went over to Mikey's dad's place and we found a map that said that underneath this place there's buried treasure.
One of Cohen's co-stars also helped him get the waterworks going. According to Robert Darby, who played Jake Fratelli, Joe Pantoliano, who played his brother Francis, pinched the hairs on the back of Cohen's neck to make him cry.
Chunk was very good. He was fun. I remember Joey told you about what he did. He pinched the hair on the back of his neck.
However, Cohen believes that Darby is the true culprit and a liar.
You know what? He's a liar. He's a liar and a child's hair puller. That's what he is. That
bastard.
Either way, someone pulled Cohen's hair. Oh, and in case you were wondering, Cohen's mother was okay, and she played Chunk's mother in the ending. Number 1, the map had real blood on it. The map to One-Eyed Willys' rich stuff traces back to 1632.
Hey, Mike found a map! Yeah. Hey, look, that says 1632. Is that a year or something?
Feeling that the prop map didn't look over 350 years old, production designer J. Michael Reaver dumped coffee on it. Reaver thought a pirate map should also be sprinkled with blood, but the crew couldn't find red paint on short notice.
Soaked with blood of the trespassing thief.
They resorted to cutting their fingers to produce the real deal.
That's disgusting. No, I can't even look.
We wonder if Sean Astin knew this when he kept the map after shooting. Astin claims that his mother, Patty Duke, accidentally threw out the map. Astin also theorized that a friend could have taken it or it got lost when his mother moved from 266 Denzel Avenue, Los Angeles. Perhaps one day a group of kids will find it in an attic.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.